I love when it says recording. That means I did something right. We're off to a good start. Well, welcome everybody to Growing the Senior Coach and Beyond. My name is Jeremy Pratt. I am a certified health coach with Optavia, and I am lucky enough to share this evening with one of my favorite coaches, Dr. Chris Puglisi. And what this whole thing is going to be about is we sat down. I'll give you a quick little history. We sat down, we saw that we were putting everybody into one large Facebook group. And when you're a brand new coach and you get put into the same Facebook group as a JC or an advanced leader, and that advanced leader starts talking like an advanced leader, it's very easy to say, oh my gosh, how will I know all this? And why do I say that? Because when I started coaching and I got put into a big group with presidentials and everything, I said, oh my gosh, how am I going to learn all this, right? So after years and years, we decided, what will be cool is let's break this down. Let's make it fun, because this should be fun, right? We have great stories. We have a lot of life into us all of a sudden, when you're on program or you're introduced to something new, it becomes super fun. So when we make this fun, your surrounding people are going to realize, wow, look at what they're up to. This is kind of cool. And so we decided now we're going to break it down, smaller groups. And then what will be cool is there'll be a graduating group, right? When you all buckle down and you're taking your notes and you put our ideas into action and you work real hard and you be consistent, you'll be out of this group soon enough, and you'll tell tales of how much fun we were. And you'll be into the next group. And if anyone is funnier than me, just lie to me and say, no, they weren't. Because I have a very fragile ego. So with that being said, tonight we're going to go over how to tell your story and then your hundreds list. And I will be going over how to tell your story. And the one thing that I always recommend when you're telling your story is to have two stories, right? You want your 45-second elevator speech, right? And I'll go over that quickly. And then you want your full story, but both of the stories have to have the same common denominator, and that is your heart, right? Because something drew you to this program, and it was most likely your health coach's heart. You saw their picture, you saw that they were vanishing in front of you, which is awesome, but we see that in society, on TV, the Rosie O'Donnells, the Oprahs, everybody, right? We see them vanish on TV and stuff. But what drew me to this program was the heart behind it. So when I told my story for the first time, I started crying, telling it, because our stories are so emotional, right? I struggled for so long to find an answer to health, to find an answer to something. And when I found it and I got really deep into my story of why I was doing this, right? And I'll tell you my story, I'll share it with you. So 7 years ago, my dad and I went to an event where my brother-in-law was being recognized for football. He was a Division I football player, and he was huge. I mean, look at TV. See those offensive linemen on TV? They're 315 pounds. They're gigantic. And Mike was always just a big, big dude, right? We get to this event, and Mike, the big dude, is becoming the little dude. And I was blown away. I don't remember ever seeing him so small. So my dad immediately said, Mike, you look great. What are you doing? And Mike said, I'm on this program. I heard the word program and I walked away. I went and I got a salt bagel with butter and I got a Coca-Cola because I knew all about health. I didn't have to hear about programs. You lift weights, you exercise, you're going to lose weight, right? I mean, that's what we were taught. And I went back and Mike was still going on with my dad. My dad was smart enough to sign up for it immediately. Now, I've watched my dad lose 100 pounds 5 separate times in my lifetime with programs. Right? I remember he was doing something where he'd have these cans and he'd pull the can open and he'd drink it, and he drank 5 of those a day, and he'd have like a pizza, but he still lost weight, but then he'd gain it back like that when he was done with it. So programs and I were not friends. This was in October, come Thanksgiving. My dad is now vanishing, and he's given me the tally weekly. I don't want to hear anything about this program, but I'm like, wow, 10 pounds, that's a lot. Wow, you're down 20 pounds? Holy smokes. Then I see him and I'm like, you're like a new person. I still don't want anything to do with the program. Fast forward to Christmas. Amazing. They look great. I still don't want to hear anything about it. Fast forward to the end of January, my almost 1-year-old son is starting to walk, and I don't want to be the dad who's on the couch rolling a ball to him, or on the sideline not being part of his life on the field or wherever he is. I wanted to be the dad who joined him in activities and events. So one morning I slide my stomach out of the way so I could tie my boots for work. And I open the door because I'm sweating and it's winter. And I open the door up and I yell to my wife, I'm going to start the thing my dad's doing. And, you know, he gives me his health coach number. I call her. I wasn't nice. I said, whatever my dad's doing, sign me up. Here's my credit card number. She's like, oh, well, you know the habits. I'm like, shh, this is my credit card number. Just order me the stuff, right? I'm not here to talk to you, right? So I was a real charmer. And my box shows up. I tell my wife, I'm like, I'm going to start Monday. She said, it's Valentine's Day. I said, if I start Monday, I'll be around for a lot more Valentine's Days. So, you know, halfway through, all of a sudden I started panicking. I'm down 30 pounds. Oh my gosh, what am I going to do? How am I going to keep this off? I don't know how to keep this off. And all of a sudden I said, geez, remember that lady who checks in every week I never answer her calls. I blow her off. I might need to talk to her and apologize. So I did. And she still brings this up when I see her. She's not an active coach, but I see her still. And she says, you know, how are those habits of health going? And that was the book she always told me to unwrap. So, you know, fast forward, you know, love health coaching. It completely changed every facet of my life. You know, so for me, it was a very emotional journey. You know, make sure that when you're constructing your story, and mine was a lot longer than it should be, but I wanted you guys to have the whole history of what it, you know, where we were going with this. So when you're constructing your story, the first thing you should do is make sure that it's coming from your heart when you're talking to somebody, right? And, you know, what will be cool about knowing your stories, that's going to lead into what Dr. Chris is going to talk about, because once you have your story cemented, you then want to share it. And it becomes very easy to share something that you're very emotional about, very heart-driven about. So my quicker story is, and I use this in the elevator when people find out, I have buttons, before and after buttons on my work bag, right? I have my before and after picture on the back of my phone. It's a sticker, and I put it on there. And trust me, I make sure that people see it. You know, I'm not shy about, you know, oh, hello? Oh, yeah, hi, Mom. And no one's on the phone, you know, it's whatever. Yeah, oh. And then I put it down. I'm like, okay, love you too. And then someone else, what's that picture? Oh, I lost 62 pounds 7 years ago. How? Oh, well, you know, found this amazing program. And this is going to be my elevator story for you. And you need to make it short. You need to make it concise. And you need to get your point across. But more importantly, you need to make sure you get that person's information. And that's going to be the most important part of your story when you tell it quickly. Because that short story is going to lead into a conversation on the phone, which will lead into a little bit longer story that you can share. So I always say, I lost 62 pounds 7 years ago on this amazing program. I had a health coach that walked me through, kind of, you know, held my hand through the whole entire thing. It was an amazing journey. I did it for my son because I didn't want to be that dad on the sideline. I can't imagine life being different than it is now, because I was fearful it wouldn't be as good as it is now. I'm thriving. I have more energy than I had in my 20s. Everything is so amazing. You know, I'd love to chat more about this, but I know that we're running out of time here on the elevator or wherever we are, and I don't want to interfere in more of your day. Let me get a number from you, or you know what? Here's a great trick, and this is awesome. Go to Facebook on your phone. Why don't you friend me on Facebook right now? And then I'll just get in touch with you later. We can chat at a later date, right? So you told them a little bit about your story, but now you're making that connection too. And you know how awkward it is when you hand someone your phone, when your phone's in their face, and you're saying, oh, friend me, type your name in and friend me. 99 out of 100, whether they're mortified or not, are like, yeah, of course. And they'll friend you, right? So it's a great way to make a connection if you're doing a 3x3x3. And it's also a great way when you get home, you follow up real quick and say, hey, I'd love to tell you more, chat more, and find out what it is you're looking for, right? Because we want to find out what that person needs, and then we want to kind of, make that point. But it's all going to start with your story. So that's my quick elevator talk right there. I went over the longer story. Make sure it's always heart-driven. Everyone's story is different. Everyone's story has a different, some people, I had to lose weight for medical reasons. Some people are like me. Some people want to play with their grandkids on the floor. I've heard thousands and thousands of stories, and they're all awesome. So don't think that your story isn't awesome. If you don't have a weight loss story, you don't need to worry about that. You have a heart that loves helping people. Make sure that people know you have a beautiful heart that wants to help others. Make it heart-driven, and you'll have no problems. And now I'll turn it over to Dr. Chris, and she's going to go over now how to make your contact list so that you could share your story with lots and lots of people.
Awesome. Thank you, Jeremy. I just want to piggyback off of that. I think it's so important for us to even just practice that elevator speech, make sure you feel really comfortable with talking about it, because whenever you start to talk with a potential client, if you're uncomfortable, they're going to sense that. So be really confident in what you do and what you offer for people, and really know your story and be able to relate it to those people. So typically that's kind of our first step when we become a new coach. So you want to say something?
Could I interrupt for 1 second? How cool would it be next week if we started off next week's Zoom with each one of us telling our 30, 45-second story? Right? Would that be cool? You guys in for that? You up for that? Thumbs up? Remind me, because I will forget. I'm old.
We're doing it. Anyway, so that's a great idea. So once we have that story, we're ready to go out there and tell people that we have something to offer them. So one of the great things about that is a majority of the time we start with our friends and family, right? Because we want to let them know that this is something new in our life. So we probably at some point have done a contact list. We're going to go through a contact list on steroids. So I want everybody to take out a piece of paper if they don't have a piece of paper. And I want you to really kind of think about a few things. We're going to go through some categories here. What I want you to really think about when you're sharing is recognize that there are 3 areas of the trilogy, right? So everybody that you write down on your contact list might not necessarily be somebody that needs program for the physical transformation. Maybe they need coaching in their life. So again, I know Jeremy said, not everybody has that weight loss story. Some of us came to Optavia specifically to be a health coach. I'm one of them. So keep those people in your mind as we're going through this as well. So I want to just start through, and I want to kind of take this as an exercise to really just free flow. Okay, so as we're going through this, I want you to write down the categories, but as we're writing down the categories, I want you to start thinking about who in your mind could fill those categories up. Obviously, we start with people on our heart, right? So our friends and family. But think about maybe some of those things that you do on a day-to-day basis. Are you part of any clubs? Are you a parent in a parent-teacher conference group? Are you on a booster club team? Do your kids play sports? Are you friends with the kids' parents that are on those teams? Do you guys have banquets and those types of things that you're planning? Are any of you involved in churches or, church groups? Think about the people that you work with. So your employees, people that you see every single day. I like to, and again, we should have a journal like this, just free form. These are all of my contact lists. So I'm going to also read off some of the other categories. I guess backing up to even the 10 people that you are in contact with the most. So do they know that you're a health coach? Because they definitely should know if you're somebody that is talking to them all the time. Again, maybe they're a connector for you. Maybe they don't need program, but they should definitely know if they're somebody that you're talking to all the time. breaking down just healthy body, healthy mind, healthy finance, just really other good categories. I broke some into, healthcare providers, doctors that I know, nurses that I know, chiropractors that I know, personal trainers that I know, teachers that I know. I went back through and I broke down elementary school friends, middle school friends, high school friends, college friends, grad school friends into all separate categories. College roommates. If you were on a sports team growing up, I was a gymnast for 12 years. I have a lot of teammates through those years that are gymnasts. So, teaming up sometimes with your athletes from your, I guess, earlier chapters in your life can be really fun because you already have that team mentality. Massage therapists, physical therapists, plumbers, policemen, EMT, firemen. If you're a part of group exercise classes, like who's in your class that you're with all the time? Is everybody kind of like frantically writing, I'm hoping? Or it's at least helping you to think about people. I'm not even kidding you guys. One time I went through my phone. and went through my contacts and people that I hadn't talked to in a long time. And I started a conversation with them. And one of them became a client that month, because I literally just cared about wanting to connect with them. And even though we're writing down all these people's names on a contact list, just remember, it's not like, you don't have to freak out. They don't know that you put their name down on a piece of paper. And that doesn't mean that you're trying to get them either, right? We're just starting to build relationships with these people. And it's all about that starting off. So whenever we are starting to build these contact lists, we have a lot of people in our sphere and we recognize, okay, I do know more than 5 people, right? And a lot of that sometimes, especially if it's people that you haven't talked to in a long time, when you're reaching out to them, Optavia isn't going to be the first thing that comes up, right? Start a genuine conversation with them, and ask how they're doing and what's new with them and catch up and show that you really care about them. If there's somebody that cares about you too, they're going to reciprocate that. And the opportunity is going to come up for you to share more about Optavia and share more about your life and what you're doing now. But the contact list is something where it allows us to recognize what we offer and who it could help in our spheres. If you have a spouse, if you have a significant other, tap into their sphere of influence. So that same list that we did, sit down with your spouse and brainstorm it together, have this be about, especially, your own goals, but have it be about what this could mean for both of you guys' future if you are together. Even if that person isn't part of the business, it's a great way for you, because you're already connected to that sphere and have the trust within that realm of people. It's a nice kind of, I guess, segue into a different world, but you're still kind of attached to them too. So these different groups, think about even, I guess, some of your clients and what some of your clients do for work, and then make categories off of their, off of their fields or where they came from as well. But think about now this giant list that you have, and it's really easy for us, I think, to say, oh my gosh, I just wrote this big list. Like, I did my work for the day, right? But don't stop there, because that's kind of just where it sets the groundwork for us. But now we should start chipping away at, starting 5 or 10 new conversations with these people every single day and reaching out to them. And that's all it is. It's not, word vomiting on them and saying, oh, I'm a health coach and I have this amazing program right off the bat, right? Like, we want to just have a conversation with them, rebuild that relationship, especially if it's somebody they haven't talked to in a long time, and just show that you care about them. Jeremy specifically said, this is about sharing your heart with people. So show that side of you first, that you genuinely care about how they're doing first, before you bring up Optavia. And I think that whenever you have that approach with people, they can see it. They can see that it's very genuine and authentic. And you'll be able to go back through your list and circle the names that you're like, okay, client, coach, all those things. And looking back on them and saying, every single time I reached out to somebody, it was genuine and it was because I cared. One of the things that I, just as a side tip, I guess, before we open it up for questions, one of the things that I always think about when I start my day is, yes, it's always great for us, I think, to have business goals, but I think it is way more important for us to lead with our heart to reach those business goals, right? So focusing on others and not ourselves in this whole thing. And that's what's really going to help your businesses grow, leading with your heart and just reaching out to people, not expecting anything in return, but really just wanting to help. So that's kind of our list of 100, and it's a great way for you to direct your business. You get to be the business owner. You are the business owner. So you get to bring people into this world, into Optavia, that you want to. So reach out to those people that you really want to help.
That was great. It's amazing how quickly your list can grow if you're intentional about it, and you really think about those folks from days of yore. It's amazing how many names you'll come up with. So does anyone have any questions? We wanted to leave time at the end for questions. Go ahead, Peg.
Okay, not really a question, but just a comment. What I do sometimes is in my phone, I have a coach's contact list and a contact list for those times when I'm not near pen and paper and like, oh, I forgot about my friend, Betty Sue, and I immediately put her on that list. And then when I get down to doing, my Facebook time and all that, I have it right there, because you think of these people, in just crazy places sometimes, so just as
sure, that's a great tip. Hey, we're on these things a lot, so it's definitely a great place to have your notes, and make sure you transfer those notes to pen and paper to make it on your master list, because you may reach out to them on this thing and then forget about them. So I always make sure you have a master list somewhere, and your map is a good place for that, and we'll be going over the map next week, I believe. Excuse me. But that's a great tip, because how many times are we somewhere without a pen and paper? So anyone else have some questions, comments? Unless we were so good that you guys are just gonna you're waiting for me to shut this off so you go sign up like 50 people immediately from your list. If we were that good, hey, high five on us. But someone must have a question or something. Concerns. Is there anyone who's done a list and maybe they didn't, they were afraid to use their list, or I know I've had many lists, who've Janet, go ahead, share. You can unmute yourself, Janet.
Okay, yep. I do list a lot, but I'm very shy, so I'm afraid that I'm better at it now because I believe in it so much and I've been so successful myself. But to go up to people, I know this one person I work with, she's extremely overweight and she's very young, and she really wants to do the program. She really wants to hear about it. Haven't even done the health assessment. She keeps making appointments, and then, oh, I forgot I have to tutor, or I forgot I got kids game, And I just I work with her now. All summer we were talking. Now we're back to school together. It's I was afraid she was avoiding me in the beginning, and I didn't want to attack her. And I didn't, I just said, hi, how you doing? And walked on. But now it's I want to reach out to her again, but I don't want to I don't know how to do it without sounding or feeling like I'm bothering her. And
What's her name?
I was just saying, I think you're the one that said, I'm going to love on you until you tell me not to.
What's her name?
Sarah.
Sarah? Here's a great way to approach it. Hey, Sarah, this summer we were chatting about programming and everything. Life got crazy. We got a million things going on. It's summertime. Things settle down a little bit in the fall. I don't know if you're still interested or not, but I'd love to do that health assessment with you if you're still up for it. Let me know.
Oh, you make it so easy. Okay.
Right? I understand where you're coming from with, we get a concept in our head that we're bothering people. And when I started out, I had that concept in my head after I vomited on a few hundred people and I thought I ran out of people in this world. I then had this concept like, oh my gosh, these people are going to think that I think they're fat for starters, right? And then they're going to think this and they're going to think that. And they're going, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? And JC said, do you have friends? And I said, I'd like to think I do. He said, well, make more friends. And that's how I've always carried myself forward, right? You know, I had a, you know, I was doing I do my 3x3 religiously. I do more like a 3x20x3. And I reached out to a girl who played Dorothy in our nursery school, and I was Toto. And I wrote to her. We became friends on Facebook recently. I haven't heard from her in 25 years. She moved when we were in high school. And I was like, hey, Dorothy, it's so good to see you. And I was like, oh my gosh, you're an eye doctor down in Florida. That's insane. You know, I always knew you were smart. I didn't know you were that much smarter than me, you know. And we just caught up, BS, and she stopped me cold. And she's like, what is this vanishing thing you do? And I was like, what do you mean? She goes, I need 50 pounds to vanish off me, you know. But it was just reestablishing that friend contact and everything, and you know, an old memory that just kind of reignites it. So just, you know, don't ever be afraid to be human with people, because people love when you're human, you know. People will sniff a mile away if you're going to throw dirt on their floor and be like, well, thank God I got the massive Hoover 5200 with me, you know. Just really, I always encourage people to just work on being a person who smiles and cares about people, because if you can smile and care about people, they're going to want to do whatever you're doing. You know, they're going to see you posting on Facebook when you have your list together and you start, you know, that scary thing of saying, hi, Tom, I haven't talked to you in months. What the heck is going on? I saw on Facebook your son went down the slide and jumped a river on a skateboard. Dude, that's sick, right? And the conversation is going to start.
Jeremy, I have a quick question. I know we need to wrap up, but so what happens to me is people reach out to me after I've sort of dripped on them for a while, and they start asking me questions about a program, and I think they seem very interested. And then they get down to, well, tell me how much it costs, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I say to them, it really starts with a health assessment, blah, 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 blah. And all of a sudden, I stop hearing from them. When I say the word health assessment, I lose these people. Is there a better way of saying it?
Yeah, you know what a really good way to say it is? When they say, how much is the cost? I say it's $25,000 a day. I hope that's not too much, right? And they're going to chuckle a little bit. Then I say, you know what? Let's even find out if this program is right for you, because it might not be, right? Because then they're like, well, why wouldn't it be, right? Everything's right for me. Who are you to say it's not right for me? And then I lead into like, you know what? We could do this 20-minute health assessment, find out if things jive, and if they do, we'll proceed from there. You know, because then it sounds like you're being dodgy and darty. You know, if you're a little too direct. You know, throw some humor in there. You know, people want what we have, but they want to say no more than anything on earth, because that takes all the pressure off of them failing at everything they failed at forever, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look at me with my salt bagel and Coke, telling my Division I brother-in-law, who's vanishing in front of me, that I know more than you about getting healthy. And meanwhile, you know, I have butter stains on my shirt, my gut hangs over my belt, and I'm chugging, 300 calories, and he's vanishing in front of me. So I wanted to get to the no as fast as possible. That's what people really want us to say no. Our job is to just, share and care.
Jeremy, I want to piggyback off that.
Yeah, go for it.
So typically when somebody asks me about cost, I'll say, there's a variety of different programs. So until I kind of figure out what you're looking for, I can't really recommend something. I never really say the word health assessment. I just say, let's have a quick chat about what you're looking for, like what your goals are, so then I can best recommend, the best fit for you. Because that's the truth. I mean, sometimes you're on the Nursing Moms program and that might be like $8 a day, or maybe you're on the 5-in-1 and it's more like $12 to $14 a day. But I'll typically say something like, it's pretty cost effective for most people, but there's different programs. So based on what your health goals are, I can recommend what would be best for you. But let's have a quick chat about, really what you're looking to improve.
I'd love that more.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to use that. I won't say health assessment ever again.
Yeah, JC always makes fun of the phrase that I say chat all the time, but I think health assessments, although I'm a chiropractor, it's very clinical, and it sounds like, like you're gonna ask me all these like personal questions. So I'm just like, let's just have a talk about what you want to improve. Like, what are your health goals? And
I like that even more. It's a much softer, friendlier approach.
Yeah. Thank
Look
you.
at that. Mm-hmm. We all learned something great tonight, and I'm totally taking that and using it.
Steal it.
So yeah, I'm not stealing it. I'm borrowing it.
You can borrow it, yeah.
Forever. So, well, we've gone 5 minutes over. I'm sorry to intrude on all your personal time like that. But I hopefully tonight was helpful for you all. We'll be meeting next week. I'll check in on that Dr. A thing. I haven't looked that far ahead, honestly, to say. I was telling Dr. Chris 30 seconds before I turned on the Zoom, I was ripping car seats out of our van because we're picking up a new van tomorrow. So, and then I looked at my watch and I was like, oh my gosh. So we will check that out. And, you all have a great night. Now we have a little homework for you. Elevator speech, right? Get it together, make it hard driven. You got your list going. I know that we went over it quickly. Work on your list this week. When you have your list, feel free to always write in our group, right? Our group's a private group from the rest of the world. Feel free to write a question to us in that group or private message one of us. We're here to help. We're here to help you grow. We're here to help you feel more comfortable if you're feeling moments of uncomfort, throughout coaching, because it can be scary when you start out. I was scared to death. I was Dr. Vomit on people, and I didn't listen to anybody. And when I was told I didn't listen to anybody, I became more self-conscious. So it's a growing thing, and we're here to help you grow. So don't ever hesitate to go out there and write a question. Anything like that. And with that, we will meet next week. And Dr. Chris, anything else to add?
No, that's just it. Really work on these two pieces. And I would say also too, like, share with your business coach or your mentor coach what you kind of have discovered with sharing your story. Practice it with them and share your list with them too. They'll help you to reach out to those people if you feel like there's like a fear with it. And
have fun.
Yes.
Trust me, have fun with this. Be goofy if you need to be goofy. Just have fun with this. We're saving people. You all have a great night. I'm going to hit